And welcome to another episode of the Freethinkers Podcast, the show that believes in free speech, original thought, desire for truth. Hope everyone had a great week. We are back with our good buddy Dale Murphy. Dale, how's your week been?
Man, it's been great. Another week, and just happy to be here again. Happy to be back.
Well, you got the Sporting the Freethinkers Podcast hat. You're official member of the crew now.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we had to make sure you come back. You had one, just
right.
Make sure you come back.
Here we are.
Here we are.
Now we got the official hat, and moving forward, we'll have to get these out for the people.
We do. People actually have requested those. The 99.98%. There's one over there did not comply. One says no. So we'll get that store going up. That's something that I tasked you with. So we'll have to get that.
I'll have to work on the merch.
We'll have to get that going. Yeah. But we missed last week, just a lot of crazy stuff. And the goal is to try to get these done like on a Tuesday night so we can release them on Wednesday and just have a consistent release schedule. So that's the goal. Had a few family things going on. My grandmother who watches this, she had successful surgery to repair a fracture the second time around. So that's a good thing, man. That's a good awesome thing. Her pain level's down. So anyway, we're going to get back with that. And this week, I thought, we had a subject we were going to talk about, but I think we need to give a little more thought. But I think this week, it'd be interesting to cover AI, chat, GPT, artificial intelligence, how it's changed the world so far, where it's going, and what people can expect, because it's here to stay. And I was telling my buddy today, I said, I think how to view this is how we had encyclopedias, and then we had the search engines.
Right.
Everyone was like, oh, no, you can't use that to do your research. Well, now everybody's using it, the AI and artificial intelligence, to help do pretty crazy tasks.
Yeah.
So you've used it, right?
Yeah, I've used it, and it's pretty amazing. I mean, the stuff that it can spit out, and and I think you show me a couple of things that you've done, and I think a lot of it is if you put in the correct information, then it spits out some pretty amazing stuff. Because if you just kind of put in some garbage, you're going to get garbage out. But if you put in very specific parameters of what you're looking for and how you want it to flow and things like that, I think there was one thing you had done where it was like somebody, Tom Rinaldi, like at ESPN, like say this in the voice of, how Tom Rinaldi would do it. And it was, and it read like something that was, being read over the Masters or, some sporting event, college football game that Tom Rinaldi's at about, somebody's grandmother or, or something like that. And so it was pretty awesome.
Yeah, and the funny thing is there was one instance that I was writing something for a client, like a marketing copy, and used that, and it was great. And then I was kidding around. I'm like, well, write this in the King James Version style. It nailed it.
Are you serious?
Oh yeah, it had
the vowels.
Oh yeah. And yees, and I mean everything. Yeah. And then so I asked another prompt, and it still stayed within that. So it's like, okay, let's leave the King James Version style back. But no, I think it's very intriguing, because to me, I was very opposed to it at first. And again, we don't know where it's going.
Right.
I mean, Elon Musk and Tucker Carlson had an interview this week, and he seems frightened of it, which concerns me because he was part of the creation, or the team that created that. But the way I use it, and again, the way that, some of my friends use it, and they said, treat it like an assistant. And I have, and it's like I have a writer on staff now, because it's incredible, again, what you can do. Like this morning, I was just messing around because I was talking to a developer yesterday about a plugin that I wanted. And we had a 2-hour call. So I went on there this morning, described the plugin, how would I go about doing this, hit a button, and it wrote the freaking plugin, like code.
Really?
And I don't know if it works or not. I sent the whole chat to my developer, and I'm like, does this work? Can we see it? So maybe tomorrow it'll work, but it's insane. I mean, it's absolutely insane. But it's, again, you can use it. I think it's like anything. You can use it, for the good, or you can actually turn it for the bad. But
right.
It's got a lot of pros if you use it for the right way, but the cons, there's a lot that I see coming. And by using it, as a matter of fact, I've used it for some of these podcasts, not in the creation of them yet, but as summaries, because you take the transcript and you can almost do summaries. It never wants to write a summary because it's like, as an AI, we can't do, this is controversial or this is racial or whatever. It's pretty sensitive.
Yeah. Yeah, it's it's pretty amazing. You look at that, and like back in the day, how you're talking, we pulled out the encyclopedias or whatever we could find, and being able to have this now, it's like, man, you put in just a paragraph or two about what you're looking for, and that thing could spit out anything that you want. So pretty amazing, the technology, and like you said, it's a little scary. And then as well, I think for some people they may be a little nervous about their jobs, because I think there's some jobs that a lot of these companies and corporations could look at and go, you know what, we could get rid of a lot of salaries and a lot of our overhead here, if we were to just implement some of the AI stuff that's out there right now. So like you said, I think there's some good, there's some bad, and it's just kind of like we've got to wait and see how this whole thing goes.
Yeah, you're right, and to me, I'm not scared about losing my job at all over this or any aspect of it. As a matter of fact, I see it as an advantage, and the people to me that I think have the advantage are the people that can use it with the human input in mind, knowing that you're just going to get technical data in, technical data out.
Yeah.
But when you combine it with empathy and the human element in it, when you tell it what to do with that, like how to describe because you can just say, okay, I do, I sell flooring or something like that. Well, how are you different than the guy down the street? So you need to talk about how your customer experience is better, how your product's better, how your products work in this environment, which is Florida, on through the list. Let people, because ultimately you're creating it for people.
Yeah.
You're using AI to help create it for people, because when people see that, then this is ultimately you want them to read it and feel they have a connection or enough of an interest to come and visit you and to do business with you. Because if it's just technical data about flooring,
right,
the guy down the street can do that.
Yeah.
Or you can go to the website, or the manufacturer's website, and see that.
Yeah.
So again, like you said earlier, it's what you put in is what you get out. And I think really that's the advantage of still bringing the human element to it.
Right.
And again, you can use it for, I haven't even gotten in the imagery part. I mean, when you're talking about creating images of AI and that kind of thing, and I've seen it. I've seen, my friend Kevin was showing me some images that he created, and they're phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. But he's using it for efficiency, because he can create these images, show it to a client and say, okay, is this kind of the direction you want to go on something like that? And then do it in real life and reality. Right. So it's to me, the biggest hindrance that I've always had with clients is content, which I think anybody that's ever done a website or created a video, so we're at least getting something on the plate that says, okay, let's judge what's on the plate and let's refine.
Yeah.
And it's made everything so much faster.
Yeah.
So much faster.
Yeah, and I think, like you said, it's all going to be about the person that's doing the input, and if you can make it something that's relatable to other people, that's going to set you apart, to where you can use it, like you said, as an assistant, to where you don't have to go out and hire an assistant, where you could just kind of tell it, hey, because maybe there's somebody that, you don't want to have to sit there and tell them every, 5 minutes, okay, this is how I want things to go. This is how I would like for this to sound, where it's like you can just put that into the computer once or twice and it spits something out for you. Somebody else, it may have taken a few hours and a lot more money, out of your pocket. So, it's definitely something that's going to be interesting, and I think that's going to be good for people that are able to use it correctly. I've seen some articles on some people that are already being paid a lot of money who are able to know how to make those inputs, to get the right output. So I think there's a lot of opportunity there in the future.
Yeah, there is, and the interesting part is, I guess, the bad part that I see, and I can already see what's coming of it, because when I put something in, like one of the podcasts I did a couple of weeks ago, I started off with, I like this racist coffee, because there's some article that this guy said this coffee is racist, blah, blah, blah. And so I took the transcript and put it in there, and it flagged it because it said no one said coffee is racist, so I can't write this as an AOI language generator or whatever. And so I put yes they did and pasted the article, and AI came back, oh sorry, I didn't know about this. So here's the summary, and it wrote it
So
after
it wrote
that.
it out after
yeah,
that?
after that, because I gave it back information. So I'm not sure if now that's in there,
Yeah.
but I went with it, and I'm like, no, you're wrong. This isn't what it is. And then, so, and Kevin also, he does kind of a radio show, and it's great. So you can ask, tell me the origins of this song. Cause on this radio show, he can talk about their origins.
Yeah.
And he's like, he did it as a test cause he knows the origins of the song, and the thing completely made stuff up. I mean,
Right.
he's like, this is complete
So
bogus garbage.
Yeah.
So a lot of times on the bottom, it says, sometimes it's inaccurate information or that kind of thing. But the biggest thing that I've seen is it often is very one-sided as far as from like even some of the ones that I did, like when I talked about guns, it really wouldn't answer the questions that I asked. Cause I'm like, let me know articles with links of people that defended themselves by being legal gun owners against criminals. And it didn't want to tell me.
Yeah.
Didn't want to tell me at all. And it's very interesting because like if you ask it to make jokes, I haven't done it, but I've seen people that have done it. They're comparing making jokes about Christians versus Muslims, and
Right.
it's not it'll do one for Christians, but it won't do it for it's very interesting. So how I think I see it going and moving towards is it's going to replace search engines, or they want it to replace search engines, because search engines now, they scan the internet for all information, and
Right.
you have all options there. So one article could be pro, one could be con, one could be off in left field, this, that, and the other. If you ask a single source, you'll get a single answer.
Yeah.
And it can choose what it wants to do at that
Right.
point. That, to me, is the very, very negative part.
Yeah, and I think going back to Elon, I think he has said that's the issue, one of the issues that he sees as well, because he already sees a lot of the AI outputs, that are very one-sided. And so, like you said, it's like if they're able to control that and have one source of being the answer for everybody, it's like, where is the youth going to go and get their information? Because if they're now relying on, this AI to give them the answers for things, and they're asking these questions, and somebody can just drill into them, hey, this is what we want them to believe, this is what we want them to know, we don't want them to hear about anything else. That's the scariest side of it. It's like unless they're free thinkers, they're going to have an issue.
Yeah, AI said it, so it's got to be true.
Right.
It's got to be a source from somewhere. But no, it definitely has a bias. I mean, I can tell you that.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting if I try to get it summarized of this, saying that it has a bias. It's, because I'll write back to it. Because like I said, I treat it like an assistant.
yeah.
I'm like, that's the biggest propaganda I've ever seen in my life. And it's like, sorry, you didn't like this, whatever. I'm like, no, it's crazy. So I'll like talk back to it. I know it's kind of stupid to do it maybe, but,
Right.
but it's, I don't know. Maybe there's algorithms within that say, okay, we got pushback from this. Let's keep shifting this way or what. But I mean, that's really kind of how I've used it as far as to help write marketing copy. There's ideas for books that I've had that I've put in there that it's fleshed out, and it's been amazing.
Wow.
There's some extensions that you can do as far as that help your input, and it's more of a directed approach to writing certain aspects. And like I said, I don't even think I've scratched the surface with it. My friend was at an AI convention for agriculture today and was, talking about this huge grant this university got strictly for AI. So it's, I just don't ever see the human element being taken out. I mean, there was a farm that I was on, and they had autonomous tractors. I mean, self-driving tractors, and these things got stuck in the mud. Right. I mean, they stayed right on course, but they couldn't look. I'm sure they're going to make cameras that can look at this now, or soil sensors or something. But it drove, and it just spun its tires because it rained the day before. And there's just something about a human element that I think we need to have. But when we're in this entitlements in society, it's hard to get good work. Mm-hmm. It's hard to get dependent people,
Right.
it's hard to look away from that. I mean, even McDonald's, when they've got, these like order things in there or whatever, I can't blame them.
Yeah.
I mean, when you walk into any kind of food service place other than Chick-fil-A, almost, they're like, we're doing you a favor to do anything for you. And it's like,
Right.
oh, no, you're supposed to be a server and serve the customer. And it's like, I don't know. So
Yeah, I don't know if you've been into Walmart lately, but like, I mean, man,
No.
the amount of self-service checkouts that they have now, it's crazy. I mean, it's just like you walk in and there's maybe like, I would say 8 to 10, maybe like where there's people at the registers, but then, I mean, there's like 30 to 50 where they have just a line of people and they're just taking you through and just putting you, to each of those self-checkouts. And the only thing on that, not to get off topic, but I mean, one thought I have had on that is how much, whether it's there or whether it's at the grocery store, wherever you're having these self-checkout, how much shrinkage is there going on with people that are just, paying for one thing and slipping 4 more into the bag, so how much money are you really saving by not paying somebody the $12 or $15 an hour or whatever you're going to pay the checkout person, compared to the machine? Like, how much are you really saving overall because of the amount of stuff that's walking out the door that somebody just hasn't paid for, because you don't have the amount of people to be able to watch all of those, 30 to 50 checkout centers, so you never know. It's so.
yeah, that's interesting. That's an interesting question. And I'm sure every store somehow has to track that. I mean, especially with RFID tags. I don't know if they have those kind of like hidden and they can tell what walks in and out.
Yeah.
I mean, heck, refrigerators have RFID tags now. So you know what goes in and what goes out, and
Right.
it's nuts. But to me too, though, even if you do self-checkout and a couple people skip some stuff back, I mean, that's on them, obviously.
Sure.
But there's been experiences I've had at the register where I'm like, I don't know if I want to come back here.
Right.
So maybe it's better to have self checkout and lose a little money than have, this person
rude
just be a
employee.
complete jerk. I mean,
Yeah.
I was at Greenwise the other day, and they've always been incredible. They had one checkout lady, and it was like bad day for Betty or something, and it was like, man, this is nuts.
Yeah.
Like I felt bad for not going to the self checkout. I go to the human people. I like the
Right.
human people.
Right. Always
Except that day. I don't like the human people
interaction.
that day.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, it should be interesting. And my biggest thing is the kids that are going to grow up using this. Because they have to.
Right.
If they don't, and I say that, but I remember when the iPad came out, and I remember they interviewed Steve Jobs, and they're like, man, you created the iPad, all this other stuff. What do your kids think about it? And he's like, they never touched one, they never will. And the news reporter's like, what? And he goes, no, they'll never touch an iPad.
Yeah.
It's like, that's just distraction advice. And then when you see like Bill Gates and all the elite, they send their kids to school without any computers or electronics. I mean, it's all books and, head knowledge.
Right.
So it's going to be interesting to see which way works. I mean,
Yeah.
because here's the thing too, is they can get everybody dependent upon it and pull it out. And then what are people going to do? Like in Italy, it's banned. They banned AI in Italy. Can't use it.
That's crazy.
So if people get dependent upon that so much that they don't know how to think, they don't know how to do anything like a human knows how to do, what's that going to do to people?
Yeah. Well, I mean, and you even look at with the internet now, I mean, because it's like we're all so dependent daily on the internet for whether it's home, work, whatever it is you're doing, everything is all online. And so it's like somebody's got that control, to where it's like, what happens one day if somebody goes, you know what? Yep, we're going to throw the world into chaos here real quick. Because I mean, that would really throw things into chaos, in a heartbeat. So, it's just little scary whenever you've got people that become so dependent, on that. I was watching, I think it was on Netflix or Prime Video or something, like and it was something from 2012. It was the Hatfields and McCoys. So it was Kevin Costner and Bill Paxton. And so it was a really good show. And so I just happened to come through and I was like, oh, let me watch that because I hadn't seen it before. And just seeing the way those people lived and, being self-sufficient, because there's just so many people now that you know, what happens like what with what happened back in 2020? It's like, what happens if you can't go down to the grocery store? What are people going to do? Because people aren't, you know, growing their stuff in the backyard. They're not going out into the woods to get something to eat anymore. You know, so it's, you know, there's a lot of things where it can, you know, I think things can go really bad really quickly, you know, if somebody decided it was time. So
Yeah, that's interesting. I always ask myself, do I have a marketable skill that if electricity didn't exist, I would still be able to do it? And I think I mean, as long as it was a lawnmower, or I guess electricity would have to power like a power tool or a saw. But I mean, you know, like place up in Georgia, I've kind of gotten pretty decent with you know, carpentry and that kind of thing.
Bob Vila up there.
I try, man. I tried. I don't have the plaid shirt like Al Borland and Bob Vila, but I'm probably like more like Tim Taylor screwing stuff up. More
but having a good time doing it.
Exactly. I have a great time doing it. But yeah, I mean, you have to think like, do I have a skill other than behind a computer? Because you have to think that's
what most of us do all day is we sit behind a computer and work on whatever it is that our profession is, you know, but it's all on a computer. So something to think about.
Got to get up and get active, man. I'm on my 19th straight day of hitting all my goals on my
Are you really?
exercise stuff. Yeah.
Dude, so this was it a couple days ago or maybe 3 days ago, I decided, it was like on Monday, I was like, I'm going to start doing 10,000 steps. I did it on Monday and Tuesday. Today, my legs felt like they're about to fall off. And I was like, good Lord. I mean, and so something, I guess something I got to build up to because I mean, they're like, you know, walking's one of the best things you can do, you know. So I was like, and they said get 8 to 10,000 steps. So I did that the first 2 days, but man, that's not a joke this morning when I woke up.
You go in the mornings?
So yeah, I mean, so like I did do it in the morning the other day, and then it's just like when I'm at work, like I'll just get up and walk around. Like I'll just, 10 or 15 minutes I'll walk, and then, you know, in the evenings I may walk the neighborhood for just a little bit, you know, but just to get to, you know, my 10,000 steps where I'm at, like I've got to walk a long ways. So it's, you know, I can probably get about 5,000 steps in a day just doing my regular job, just going in, sitting down, doing my stuff and walking around to lunch and things like that. But, you know, just trying to get those other 5,000 steps in. It makes a big difference whenever I went from the 5,000 to 6,000 going to the 10,000. My legs told me there was a difference there.
Man, I do not get up in the morning and do that. Maybe I will now. Maybe I'll have more energy now, but I did on Easter, though. I woke up for like 5 a.m. on Easter for some reason, and I went and I started walking the dogs, man, and the sun started coming up, so I had a sunrise walk. It was amazing. It was just awesome.
It's always amazing whenever you do it, and then you're like, man, I'm glad I did this. But then that next morning or a few mornings later, and then you're like, man, this bed is really warm and comfortable. No.
Yeah, well, we don't care about that anymore in Florida because it's starting to get hot. It's starting to get real hot. We had a couple good days of weather.
Yeah.
Oh, it got hot.
Yeah, it got hot quick.
So how many Bud Lights have you drank lately?
I would say -3. I have not, and it's funny, you know, whether you go into the store or you talk to the bartender or whatever, and they tell you, you know, that people just
that's a real deal, man.
It is,
that
man.
is a real.
People are really holding on to that right now, and so I know what was the valuation that they've lost?
$6 billion at this point.
Yeah,
$6 billion. I know this was last week. Went across the street and I was texting you about that.
Yeah,
and there's a guy that works there, and I asked him, it's a pretty big sports bar. So I asked him, like, and I didn't know, I didn't know if this guy would, like, where he stood on this.
right.
And I asked him, I'm like, so how many Bud Lights have you served? Like, honest question. And he's like, oh man, you're not going to believe this. And he goes, nobody's ordering it except, so I'm sitting here, and then on the other side of the bar, two women in comfortable shoes go and sit down, and they order one. The funniest thing is the second beer they had was not a Bud Light. That's the first one they probably ever had to support the deal, right?
Right.
And then the next one was like Ultra. They went back to Ultra. They're like, oh yeah, this is not good.
Yeah.
This is not good beer.
That's funny.
But he said that. He's like, oh, this is nuts. He goes, very, very few times have I pulled that handle. And back then, Yingling was going through the roof. And he said, we've gone through more kegs of Yingling than anything. And then they put out, I don't know if you saw it, they put out a tweet that was awesome.
Yeah.
They just said, you know, we're the oldest brewery in America.
Yep.
And, you know, we support our people and we make good beer. So it was kind of like a good slight at that. But I was proud of them for doing that. Because people just need to make products. Like,
Right.
stop
You
doing
don't have
this.
to support stuff, man. Why do we, whether it's in sports, it's like, back in the day, like we've never heard what Michael Jordan supports,
Nope.
like he doesn't come out because he's not going to go against this or that. Like, and it's like we turn on the TV or for sports as an escape, because we deal with that all day in real life. And it's like we're watching sports, or your product, whether it's the beer or whatever it is. It's like that's something that we're purchasing. It's just an escape. It's not, hey, I need to know where you stand
Yeah.
on this or that. It's like, why is it so important these days to tell everybody where you stand on every single issue that comes out? It's just, it's not.
Can you imagine going to go buy a pair of underwear or something, and they got to like split down the aisle, and here's the ones that are conservative underwear, and here's the one that support the LGBTQ RSTV over here, and you're like, yeah, I'm gonna go with those.
Right. Yeah.
Like, to me, you hurt yourself more than you help yourself.
I don't, the whole Bud Light thing, you don't understand how, first of all, I still can't believe they haven't fired whoever the marketing person was that came up with this. But second of all, like, how do you see your demographic and go, yeah, that's what we're going to do? It just doesn't make any sense that because you're isolating so much of the population that's drinking, your product, to try to, go after probably less than 1% of the population, to try to market to those people. So, yeah, it just doesn't make any sense.
Well, you've done stocks and all that
Yeah.
other stuff. So when you look up a stock, you can see who the major investors are.
Right.
The major investors on most all companies anymore are Vanguard, State Street, and BlackRock.
Yeah.
Most everything.
Right.
Now, they're big on ESG. You know what that is? Environmental, social governance.
Okay. Yeah.
So you have to have a score, and they give you a score based upon your environmental stuff, your social wokeness, and governance. I don't even know what that even means, but I know what the ES means, and that's enough.
Yeah.
But that company is the big investor in InBev, which is obviously cascades through. They own 600 different beers or whatever,
Right.
but it's Anheuser-Busch.
Anheuser-Busch. Yeah.
So to me, when you have these companies that are big time on ESG, that's what's pushing it. And their profits are so spread that if literally they lost every bit of shareholder value in Anheuser-Busch, they have all this stuff over there that they just prop it up, and it's never going to go down.
Yeah.
But that's what I encourage people to do, is like look at the major shareholders of any company. Because I mean, when you look now, I was talking to a guy the other day, and that big explosion at that dairy farm that killed 18,000 cows, right?
Yeah.
He said that he talked to his a friend up there. He's a big cattle farmer, and this company called Ecolab was on site with all their people, and he goes, look up, or I looked up who the major shareholders were. Of course, it's Vanguard. Of course, it's I think it's BlackRock, and in the top 3 is Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Now, let's tie that back with what they're really trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
He's trying to put mRNA vaccinations into livestock and animals that produce milk that ultimately cascade down to the humans.
Right.
So they're there now. Ecolab is there at that farm, probably trying to capitalize on what happened. Again, there's too many of these going on lately.
Coincidences.
Yeah, to be a coincidence. So that's crazy. But when you look at everything, it all boils down to ESG, and that's something that I think I want to look into and get a little bit more information, more informed on, because I think that'd be a good topic to talk about.
Yeah,
because I'm a huge supporter of independent companies. Yingling's still a family-owned and operated brewery.
Yeah.
Thank God they didn't sell out, because when you think like Tom's toothpaste, right?
Right.
They got bought out by Colgate or something, or Kellogg's or whoever it was, and they're still acting like they're this
Family.
big family company. They're not. Bragg's, which made like holistic products like apple cider vinegar and amino acids and other stuff, got bought out by one of these big actresses, who was bought out by another, but they're still running under that same name.
Right.
But a lot of the people you could look up online, like, yeah, this stuff's changed a lot. Like we've bought this for decades and now it's quite different.
Yeah.
So they're shifting everything, but it's the facade of the labeling that gets you to think you're still buying, what you're buying. So that's the only thing I'd say. I mean, boycotts, I mean, I don't think I'm going to push them, but I certainly think it'd be good to support local businesses, because if not, they're all going to get consumed by one company that controls everything, and it's all going to be run by ESG.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think like what you said, I think that's probably the right thing of, the right point of what they're trying to accomplish is trying to get that score higher, so that, they get the funding, from these different companies that are worried about that have the deep pockets, that a BlackRock or a Vanguard does. So that's probably the whole reason for doing it, to where, right now this may be a drop in the bucket for them, to where it's like, okay, whatever, cause we've got this money that's going to be coming in. So it's not a big deal. So
I don't think they knew it would be this.
I don't think they knew it'd be
devastating.
this bad. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's legit. I mean, Ron DeSantis came out. I don't know if you saw what he said. They asked him and he's like, yeah, he goes, it's a slap in the face. He goes, I don't like, if people don't push back, they're going to keep doing this.
Right.
And I mean, he's dead on the money with that. And again, I'm not like for necessarily boycotts or whatever, but I'm for supporting what you like. And if a company that you're supporting, you can tell they're liberal, this, that, and the other. I mean, you have to get products. So we all have to make concessions at some point.
Yeah.
But if they're out there just kicking you in the face,
right,
at some point you're going to be like, nah, I'm going to go do something else.
Yeah.
And Daily Wire, they've been really proactive about this, because Harry's was a sponsor, and I've used Harry's for forever.
Yeah.
Harry's dropped Daily Wire. They're like, we're not advertising with you anymore. I think Michael Knowles said something about, gay people or something, and Harry's went nuts. Well, Jeremy Boring, who's the owner of that, spun up Jeremy's Razors to take Harry's right on, and it took a huge market share out. Then they just came out with like shampoo, body wash, and conditioner, and all these other things for men. I just spent $70 last night. I'm like, because I was out of my last Harry's soap, because I used to buy them in bulk.
Yeah.
Because I just don't want to buy them every time in the store. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to try it out. Why not? I mean, it had good stuff in it. It's not like it was whatever, the lime and water or something like that with a cool American flag label on it.
Yeah.
No, if it sucks, I'm not going to buy it. But I mean, it was, good stuff.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, cool. I'll do that. The unwoke company.
Right.
Let's do, because why would you support a company that's just actively giving your money to things that ultimately are destroying the values that we all believe in?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I agree. I mean, it's hard to do the boycott thing on everything, because, you basically almost can't live life, if you said you're not going to support anything that supports, stuff that you don't agree with. But yeah, I mean, if somebody's just pushing it in your face over and over again, that's where you have to finally go, okay, maybe move on from this and go another direction in at least that product. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how some of these other companies, now see what's happened there. And if they try to follow suit, or if, they say, you know what, maybe we should rethink who we have as our spokespeople, moving forward.
Maybe they're going to AI and saying, is this a good idea? And AI is like, yeah, absolutely. It's a good idea.
Yeah.
Let's write the copy for you.
Right.
And they put this guy in a dude in a bathtub with Bud. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense. So yeah, your buddy Travis Tritt, man, he came out pretty good on that.
Yeah, I saw him. I saw Kid Rock blowing up a bunch of Bud Lights. Yeah, and then there was another video, and I don't know who it was, but it was some guys, and they had one of those like a steamroller machine.
Yeah.
And they just had cases of Bud Light, and I mean, just in the parking lot, just running over them, and just beer just flowing everywhere. So it was pretty hilarious. So yeah, I mean, it's been pretty widespread. People are not happy.
Did you see the picture of I think it was Ted Lieu, and Adam Schiff and two other guys, the most effeminate members of the Democratic Party in Congress? It was four of them standing around literally in loafers. So when you say light in your loafers, I mean, these guys were literally in loafers, all holding Bud Lights.
Oh, wow.
And I could just imagine the CEO of Bud Light saying, if that one ad wasn't bad enough, then you,
Right.
because now it's like you have all these people that are like showing their Bud Light, and they're those. I mean,
Yeah. Definitely turning off your target audience.
and they're not going to be like longtime drinkers,
Right.
Like the
Right.
the lesbian at the bar. She had a Bud Light, and let's go back to Ultra or
Right.
whatever my beer
Yeah,
is.
it'd be interesting to see those guys, the politicians. Like, did they actually drink the Bud Light?
There's no way. There's no way.
Or did they just have it for the picture?
I don't know that I've ever had.
and then set
Maybe
it
I've had
down.
one, but not intentional. It's like
Right.
it's like there's
just the only
nothing
thing that's
else there.
available. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So I don't know. I just make a good product. I mean,
Yeah.
like, work on your product, make a good product, sell it, and embrace your customer. I mean, that's it. Why not? So I don't know. It's crazy.
Crazy times. We got there from AI.
We did. We do. That's how it goes, man.
Yeah, man.
We're free thinkers.
Oh, yep.
There's no schedule. There's no
That's
schedule.
awesome.
Well, good. That's good, man.
Good times.
Got anything planned this weekend?
I'm actually going to Arizona. I'm flying out to Arizona tomorrow to go see some friends and hang out for the weekend. So
Heck yeah.
they used to live here, and so they'd moved out there maybe 8 to 10 years ago, and so I've been out once, and so going back out and hanging out with them. So should be a fun weekend. How about you?
I don't know yet.
Take it as it goes.
I just know what I'm doing tomorrow, and that's
Yeah.
about it. But yeah, I saw that movie Nefarious, Steve Dace's movie,
Yeah?
the other day.
What'd you think?
It was incredible. Incredible.
Yeah, I told you, I was like, man, I was a little worried about seeing it because I was like, I'm not big on horror movies, but you said that the trailer is probably the scariest thing that's on there. That that it's so yeah. I probably would encourage people because now I'm willing to go see it, because before I was like, I think I meant let you just see that one and tell the people what you think.
Yeah.
So, but now I think I'd be willing.
No, it's
to
powerful. I
watch
think. I mean, you go online and read the reviews, and people are. I mean, it just makes them think, because you have to acknowledge that there's good versus evil in the world anymore. And I think one of the most, and it's not a spoiler or anything like that, but one of the most striking scenes is the whole movie's based upon a psychologist that's having to interview a serial killer before he's executed to see if he's insane or not.
Yeah.
And so this guy's demon possessed. And anyway, they have like a chaplain that walks in. And I think this is the most powerful scene in the movie, because when the chaplain walks in, the prisoner stands up and is like really, really, scared. Why are you here? That kind of thing. And then once he sees the impotence of this pastor, the pastor doesn't believe in evil. The pastor's like one of these, woke type people,
Right.
and he's whatever. Then the demon possessed guy's like,
Yeah.
I own you too.
Yeah.
And I think we're seeing that a lot. I mean, and again, it's very interesting when that happens, because there's just so much that I think we're missing by not acknowledging and operating in the power that we have. I mean, Jesus said, far better is it that I go, that you have the Holy Spirit that comes into you, and you do the things that I did, but you will do them greater.
Yeah.
How many times did Jesus operate and cast out evil spirits and demonic activity? We don't even acknowledge it exists. And I think we're accepting so much of it that we're allowing it to flourish. And like I said before, the atmosphere is just different now.
Yeah.
And so, again, I think I may do, actually, you ought to see it. We do a review on that, because I think it's pretty good. And I definitely encourage everybody to see it, because it really will make you think, and hopefully open your eyes. And again, it's one of those things that it's very, very well written. Literally, it takes place in a room. There's two guys talking, and that's 90% of the movie. And to keep people on the edge of their seats with dialogue like that, the only other movie I've ever seen is The Big Kahuna, that took place in a hotel room with Kevin Spacey and Danny DeVito. Phenomenal movie.
Yeah.
Some language in that, but phenomenal movie. I mean, but you have to write incredible and compelling and captivating dialogue to make that happen. And this movie has it. I want to see it again, and I can't wait till it comes out on DVD, because I watch everything with subtitles. Not DVD. That was so old. Streaming. But I watch everything with subtitles.
Yeah.
Because there's so much more you capture in that. So that, and plus we're getting old, man.
This is true. I usually do subtitles as well. So, yeah. But sometimes I'm like, what did they say?
Yeah.
So yeah, they have that. It's like, man, they were talking really fast there. So yeah.
Well, have fun in Arizona, man.
Yeah, man.
Have fun, and
I'm gonna
we'll
do
catch up again, and we will be back next week. But until then, we hope everybody has a great week. Go see Nefarious. I think you'll like it, and email us and let us know what you think. So until then, we'll talk to y'all later.